It's Thursday, 6:52, January 25th. So basically, in my community chat, I've basically been posting about all of the constant alerts that I've been getting on my phone about the stocks that I hold and how they're reaching all-time highs. Microsoft blew through $400 a share and is now at $404 a share. Now, I've been buying Microsoft for a very long time and I've been holding it. So basically, what I've been doing is parking my money in Microsoft. And I knew that Microsoft was going to do well, as I've always been saying in my videos. But how high it goes, I just don't know. See, I was eventually thinking that eventually they'll try to do like a stock split or something, but I really don't know what they're planning. They may intend to simply just keep paying a dividend and do no stock splits. But for the time being, I'm very, very happy with Microsoft. NVIDIA, as you know, I was posting, NVIDIA had a incredible week. It's at $616.17. The high was $628.49. That was the all-time high. Now, once again, I bought NVIDIA long before the first, or I should say its only stock split. I had been trying to tell you to buy these chips, and I made a video. I called it Bet on Chips. And I knew NVIDIA was going to do well. I just had no idea it was going to do this well this soon. And part of the reason for this is because of, obviously, the AI boom. So you basically have America doing its best to try to stifle China's ability to make AI. But I think China's going to get around America simply because China, first of all, this stuff, majority of it's coming from Taiwan. Now, China, I have to imagine they've been working on their own artificial intelligence chips. But America has tried to hedge the possibility of China trying to attempt to take over Taiwan by building Micron and pumping money into Micron. So Micron already existed. They make crucial SSDs. That's basically a solid state storage. And we've started pumping a lot of money into it ever since you saw Nancy Pelosi flying over there doing that insider trading in your face. And nobody really said anything. Nobody tried to stop her. But she flew over there to Taiwan. She came back. So then America started pumping money into Micron. When I saw that, I told all of you. I said, yeah, y'all should buy Micron. And this was months ago. More than 7 months ago, I was telling you, yeah, you should be buying Micron. But now you realize why I was telling you that, because now it's like more than $80 a share. So NVIDIA, I think NVIDIA is going to $1,000. Now you got to remember, right now they're releasing the 4070 Ti Super cards, and they'll probably be releasing the 4080 Super and the 4090 Super very soon. These are GPUs for those of you who don't know. And eventually they're going to have the 50 series. They're going to have the 5070, the 5060, the 5090, the 5080. These things are getting more and more and more and more powerful, and the technology is getting just better and better and better. And NVIDIA has been dragging everybody else upwards. AMD, Micron, Intel, so forth and so on. Apple has been doing pretty well, but the market was like, oh yeah, well they underperformed because right now they're at $194, and they thought that, they expected them to keep going up with everything else. But long term, I'm not worried about Apple, because the thing about it is I've got enough shares in Apple. Apple pays a dividend. Just like Warren Buffett, he's bought a large amount of stock in Apple, and he gets his massive dividend from that. Whether it goes up or down, in the short term, it doesn't really matter. Apple will have brand new products by September. They'll be releasing brand new products through December, and they'll have another record-breaking year. Now, I know what I think the problem is, they had unleashed that Vision Pro. I don't really think anybody cares about virtual reality, and I really don't think anybody cares about augmented reality. It's like, if they had released this years ago when Meta, or I should say the Quest 2 was made, and then they changed the name to the Meta Quest or whatever it was, I really think that if Apple had released this Vision Pro back then, I think maybe it would have been better received. But now it's like nobody cares. Virtual reality comes and goes, And I really think Apple's real profitable products are really just the iPhone, the Apple Watch, the iPad. And they do need a new product, but the problem is they've built themselves on just like a handful of products, like the Macs, the Mac Pros and everything. It's like I don't know what they're planning to do next, but that Vision Pro, like I have no interest in it. I already have a what is it called, a Quest 2, and I use it for DCS to play flight simulators. I haven't touched that thing in so long, and it's like I just don't care about the Vision Pro. And I'm pretty sure if I used it, I'd like it. But it's like I'm not paying you $3,500 for that. There's way better things I could spend $3,500 on. I'm going to make this very, very quick. I'm just going to go through it. Google has reached all-time highs. Now, y'all remember when I was telling y'all to get that Google and get that Amazon. I made those videos and I never took any of my videos down. All of my videos are still up. I was telling y'all to get Google and Amazon right before they did that stock split. What I didn't know was that Russia and Ukraine were going to go to war together and that it was going to send all of the stocks plummeting. I didn't know that. Now, I knew that I was not going to sell because Amazon and Google, I knew were going to end up having record Christmases and deliveries and everything. And sure enough, they are. So right now, Amazon is experiencing record highs. And the record high was, what was it? The all-time high, I believe, $158. This is a post-split number. But because from what I remember, Amazon, I think they gave you 20 to 1. It was like a 20 to 1 share, right? So that's how I ended up with over 100 shares of Google, over 100 shares of Amazon because of the stock split. And I was telling y'all to buy it, and then it started going down. And I kind of felt bad that it was going down, but that was because of the Russia versus Ukraine, which is something I couldn't have anticipated. Thing about it is, now that that's pretty much winding down, Google and Amazon are record highs. So if you did buy before the split, or if you did wait until after the split, you probably were able to buy even more than I did if you waited till after the split. But the bottom line is, right now they're at record highs. Now, Tesla is down to $182. Now, I believe they have a reason for that. They said, what was it? Tesla tumbles. They said, what is this? 1 hour ago, Wall Street's biggest Tesla bulls rip Elon Musk train wreck earnings call. It says Elon Musk warning to the market takes a $82 billion bite out of Tesla, and the path forward is daunting. Tesla market cap surpassed by Eli Lilly amid earnings. Stock price. Tesla Incorporated stock falls Thursday, underperforms market. Stocks making the biggest moves midday. Tesla, okay, so that was like 2 hours ago. As far as this thing goes with Tesla cars and Hertz, I think it's important for people to remember that, first of all, Hertz sells their vehicles all the time. This is nothing new. Like, every now and then you'd see Hertz selling some of their cars off, like, maybe they were the Dodge Journeys, or maybe they were trucks or whatever. So, yeah, Hertz, when they run up the mileage on these cars, they sell them off anyway. Another issue, in addition to the fact that, number one, they sell their cars anyway, number two, another problem is that the cars that they have from Tesla, the Model 3s and Model Ys, those cars are high mileage. So when Tesla, when you buy these Teslas, like, these things are warranted up until a certain point. Usually I think it's like 100,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken. If you take a look at the mileage on those cars that Hertz is selling, those things are like 89,000, 90-something thousand. They're very high mileage cars because basically you're saying, in a very short period of time, these things are going to be off warranty. And even with my Cadillac Lyric, I know that I would never buy one of these EVs used. I would lease them, and that's about it. I wouldn't buy one of these things used. And on top of that, I wouldn't even finance them. And there's a simple reason. The technology in these cars ages quick. Within the next couple of years, we're going to have artificial intelligence computers and stuff driving these cars. My car already drives itself, but Tesla just showed you that they got full self-driving, and that the car, you could just tell it, say, hey Tesla, take me to the nudie bar, and it will literally drive you to the nearest nudie bar. Like the thing, you don't even have to touch the brakes. So the technology on these things rapidly obsolesces. So my Cadillac, for example, is a 600 E4. That means it has 600 pound-feet of torque and four-wheel drive, right? But they have a 700 E4 coming out. Maybe I want to upgrade. But on top of that, they got an Escalade that's coming. And then on top of that, they got the Vistic that's coming. So everything is coming, but for right now, I'm just, having fun with it right now. So the thing about it is, it's like I would never want to lock myself into one of these loans for 6 years or 5 years or 7 or 8 years again, considering the technology rapidly changes. Now, some people can't afford to lease. Now, ironically, with these cars, because the high pricing and the high finance costs are so high, it's actually easier to lease it than it is to finance it. Because at least when you lease it, you're only getting charged. I think the vehicle purchase price on my car was it was definitely under like 70 something $1,000, but I'm only responsible for like 36,000 or something. So on my credit, it just says $36,000 that I have to pay until the lease is over or something. And at that point, I think I get to if I want to keep it, I can refinance it for like 50,000 or something. But by that time, I might decide, yeah, I want the Escalade. Now, how does that relate to Tesla? Well, the thing that people have to remember is, number one, Hertz sells its cars all the time. Number two, these are high mileage cars. Number three, because Elon Musk has aggressively pushed down the prices of these cars by offering sales, they're basically telling you, yeah, if you didn't lease this car, if you finance this car, you're going to keep this car. And the reason why you're going to keep it is because we're killing your value. So they're basically diluting the value of the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Model S and the Model X don't really get hurt that much because they had such a high purchase price. But when you see that new Model 3, the Highland, when that gets released, all of these other Model 3s are going to be devalued. And that means that people are going to be dumping Model 3s on the market. Now, I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of younger people and college grads who can't afford a car who would gladly get a Tesla and not have to pay for gas. Of course, that does mean that the infrastructure is going to have to be improved, and they are saying that they're going to put a lot more chargers on the streets. So that's another thing. Elon Musk has aggressively attacked the value of these cars by having sales and aggressively dropping the price. That hurts the resale value of all the people who finance these cars. So it is what it is. But I personally believe that Tesla is going to rebound. And when they do rebound, it'll be just like the last time they were down, they rebound. They have gone through this cycle over and over. It's like a roller coaster. And, some people look at Tesla like it's a meme stock. Well, as long as Elon Musk is the CEO, it really is. Because, he does his thing and he's, on Twitter and he's saying shit that's causing people to attack the company and everything. So, you can't stop him, but, what are you going to do? I told you to get into AMD back when AMD was $50 a share. Now it's $178 a share. Either you got in or you didn't. I told you to get into Intel when it was only $33. Intel was less than $30 when I was telling you about Intel. Well, it's up to $49.55 now, and it's going to keep going. I keep telling you, this AI shit is dragging everything up. Micron, $89.20. I told you about Micron a long time ago. I hope you got into it, but most of you probably didn't. You're probably betting on Dogecoin. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. I kept talking about that. I kept telling you about it when it was $100. It was under $100. It was like 99, 98. Well, now it's 116. So I think those were the main things that I wanted to talk about. Now, I own pretty much everything you see here with the exception of these cryptos. Oh, boo-hoo, look at Bitcoin. Oh, under 40,000. Oh, but I thought we were going to the moon. Okay, I guess not. Okay, so, my Berkshire B shares are doing good, $380. My what is this? What's the next one? Oh, um, yes, I own stock in pretty much every one of these things you see here. Candy, Nikola, Rivian, Lucid, Fisker. I own stock in all of them. Lucid and Fisker have been down lately, but I'm not selling. I can take a small loss considering their shares were so cheap. I have a belief that the Lucid Gravity, I believe it is going to come out, and I think that will definitely help their sales. The Fisker Ocean has been released, and they also are talking about autonomous driving for it. I think that will definitely help the share price. I'm not selling. I'm not selling anything. It's just that simple. I'm not selling anything because I believe that these companies are going to turn around. I see even VinFast is trying to come back up. It says VinFast 29% cheaper price remains in tune with revenues. Vietnamese EV maker VinFast misses 2023 delivery goal. Yeah, so a lot of these foreign EV makers that ended up in the NASDAQ and ended up on American trades, it's like, as long as the share prices are low, you could take a risk. But my bottom line is I'm not selling. I will hold that shit forever. I'm not selling. Okay, Walmart is doing just great. Walmart's 162.84. As you can see, this is the day. What is this for the year? It's not at its high for the year. The high 169.94. Walmart's always good because it does pay a 1.42% dividend. T-Mobile doing just fine. AT&T, I'm pretty sure, is doing just fine. Verizon doing fine. I haven't really looked at them. Boeing is not doing well. It's, you know what they say, if it's Boeing, I ain't going. They've had like the absolute worst few years. You got doors flying off of jets. You got wheels coming off. You got their fleet being grounded for crashing, the planes crashing themselves. It's like, Boeing is going to be around because they're part of the military industrial complex in America. Bottom line is, it's like if you bet on them, it's like you're going to watch your money just drop the moment that something happens to one of their planes, because the problem is their safety record right now is in jeopardy. Like, they can't talk about how safe they are when they got bolts that are loose and they got freaking wheels falling off and they got wheels coming off the planes. It's like, that's not good. That's not good at all. But what else? The airlines, if you bought into JetBlue, if you bought into Delta, because see, out of all these airlines, most of these airlines, I will say, will be around. It's just that they're not profitable right now. So it's like you have to buy them dirt cheap. You got a dollar cost average and hope that they do go up within the next 5 or 6 years. But anytime soon, you may not be seeing too much of a rise in their share value anytime soon. Who else? Okay, so oil. If you look at all of these oil stocks that I've held, the one thing you'll notice that they have in common is all of them have a slightly upward trend. TTI, SM, SLCA, they all have a slightly upward trend, but think about it. This is winter. Oil is down right now. Because of the wars in the Middle East, chances are by summer, oil's going right back up. Now, I'm not worried about it because I cashed out some oil stock and bought my electric car. How ironic. But if you wanted oil stock, you're not going to get it as cheaply as I did in 2020. I don't foresee anything happening to cause oil to drop like that again into the negatives. But the only thing I could suggest is that you keep money around waiting for just in case that possibility happens. But I just don't believe it's going to happen again. 2020, I think, was a one-off. Okay. The banks are pretty much the best place that you can park your money. They've been talking bad about the banks. Oh, yeah, well, you should bet crypto because the banks are dying and the dollar's crashing. No, it's not. There's a couple of banks that had really bad loose restrictions, and there's a couple of banks that dabbled in crypto and lost all their money. Those banks are going under. But for the most part, the big banks, JP Morgan, Citigroup, Capital One, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they ain't going nowhere. They're going to be around for a long time. And at the rate that Americans are spending their credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, that's a solid bet. Even if you didn't want to bet on the banks, you should bet on the credit cards. That's a solid bet. These Americans are debt strapped, and they're spending like drunk sailors, like drunken sailors. They're spending like drunken sailors on their credit card. So for the most part, that's a safe bet. But once again, the oil and the banks are a very, very safe bet. The gas companies too, Sunoco, Valero, Chevron, BP, Shell, Marathon Oil, U.S. Oil Fund. Yeah, those are solid bets for dividends if you're trying to build a dividend-paying stock portfolio. And you have to understand, the reason why you're building a dividend stock portfolio, that's the last thing we're going to say on this, is because what you want to do is when those dividends come in, you want to take those dividends and you want to be able to reinvest them on new stocks. So this way, every single year, you can buy more and more stock without having to spend your own money. And you can just take the money that you've earned from these dividends and you can spend that money instead of having to put new money in. Now, granted, you do want to put new money in, but you don't want to miss out on your money making money for you. That's the important thing. You want to make more money using your money so you can buy more stock. So that's basically all I had to say about this part right here. There's actually a lot of news that I posted on Facebook because it's easy to keep track of the stories and it's easier to share them that way. So they said Consumer Reports absolutely shreds new Chevy Blazer EV in negative review. All right, so it's a Consumer Reports staff, well-educated, level-headed, blah, blah, blah. Let me keep moving. The biggest slam is on the built-in Google. GM has decided to abandon the much-loved and now ubiquitous Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Found in nearly every vehicle built today. The new GM Google system simply didn't work correctly on the Chevy Blazer that CR has purchased. This is not a Meteor test vehicle. Consumer Reviews purchased it. The screen of the vehicle flashes off and on and does not allow the operator to input destinations. The video goes into great detail explaining why the new Google built-in is inferior to Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. For example, the CR team explains that you need to keep logging into downloaded apps. The problems are not all related to the software. The testing staff found that the rear seatbelts were unusable, and the crew at Consumer Reports had to repair them before they would work. It took 2 team members, one of whom is a mechanic, to resolve the issue. There was also a problem with the front floor mats that required repair. Despite being built on the much-hyped GM Ultium EV platform, which, by the way, my Cadillac Lyriq is built on, and the new Acura ZDX is built on, the test team at CR found that the vehicle charges more slowly than many models already on the market for many years. The team also commented that the RS, as in Rally Sport trim, is not that sporty, particular for its lofty $60K price point. Looking for bright spots to offer some balance to a negative review, the team resorted to saying the brakes felt normal and that the door handles worked. Watch the video yourself to see how the CR team picks apart a $60,000 5-passenger crossover in a negative way that we rarely see from the motor press. Keep in mind that the Blazer has been pulled off the market via a stop sale by GM. Other publications, included EV advocacy publications, have also panned the new Chevy Blazer. Now, if you remember, I actually made a video driving the Chevy Blazer, and I will just say very quickly, I was a little disappointed in my test drive. I told them that I was going to show up on Saturday morning to drive the Chevy Blazer. They were supposed to have charged it and had it ready, but instead of having it ready, it wasn't ready. And by the time they brought it to me, there wasn't enough miles on it to really have a decent long test drive. The salesman brought it out, but he seemed like he wasn't really going to give me the test drive. But the manager came out and said, yeah, you might as well go test drive it because you came, you showed up and everything. You might as well go test drive it. This was before I got my Cadillac Lyriq. So shortly after I did enjoy driving it because it kind of felt just like my Lyric feels, except the materials inside were definitely lower grade. The only thing I think that stood out to me was the fact that unlike my car, it didn't have a push to stop button to turn the car on and off visually. In order to turn that car off, you had to put your foot on the brake, and I believe that was it. I think you had to put your foot on the brake, and then you just like touched a panel on the touchscreen, and it was already on. Because for the most part, these electric vehicles are always on. They don't really turn off because they're always on. They're just waiting for you to get in with the key so that they can start driving for the most part. But my car does have a start stop button that basically tells it that you're deactivating every feature in the car. I think the 12-volt battery controls all of those. But for the most part, I didn't really have a trouble with the way it drove. And I didn't have any trouble with the navigation system the way, I didn't use it for very long. But I did find it, I did tell the salesman, I was like, yo, this is no way to do a test drive. You brought the car here and there's no power in it. And he agreed with me because I just came right out and said it. You got to remember, when you're a consumer, you're the one with the money. They're the one selling. You're the one buying. So as far as I'm concerned, when I walk into their office, I control the sale as far as I'm concerned. But right after I did the test drive, they put a stop sale on the Chevy Blazer. So, I think GM, I honestly, they had the UAW strike. To me, it really felt like they sabotaged themselves. I don't know what it was. Now, keep in mind, I originally ordered a Sport 3 Lyric, right? My car has never showed up. We're a month late into, 2024. We're almost like 5 days. It'll be a month. The car that I ordered never showed up. It never, ever, ever showed up. So I have to wonder, I'm like, well, why? Like, what happened to that car? Now, I would like to see that car someday if it ever does show up, but it hasn't showed up. I have the VIN number. I can track it. I can figure out it. Like now, when I actually show up to the Cadillac dealership and I ask, hey, did my car ever show up? They're like, nope. And they just leave it at that. They're like, nope, didn't show up. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I don't know what to say. So anyway, they put a stop sale on the Blazer. And that would be there to back up all these people whose claims that are EVs, nobody wants them. But that's not true. Autoblog just did a story. They said, despite the bad press, half of America is still considering an EV or hybrid. They just want them to be cheaper. It says EV demand is out there. It just looks different today. A new study closely tracks new EV shopper habits. Toyota tops Tesla as most considered brand. Claims that electric vehicles don't have enough demand may be overblown. A new study from GBK Collective published Thursday found that half of the more than 2,000 U.S. car consumers they interviewed were considering either an electric or a hybrid car for their next vehicle purchase. This far outweighs the current ownership trend found in the study. Only 14% of those surveyed already own a plug-in or hybrid vehicle of some kind. It's another piece of evidence of a huge opportunity for EV manufacturers to come in on the needs of those green car curious consumers. These are not the same kind of customers who created the initial EV market, GBK president said. Most of the EV and hybrid considerers landed much further down on the technology adoption curve than the EV owners and are often shopping green options against gas-powered vehicles. These are later adopters, and because of that, they're not as driven by innovation or even design, Kors said. They have more functional needs, and they're much more pragmatic in thinking about the total cost of ownership, both in price and in effort. Like, how do I charge? So what's that going to take? How much time is it going to take me? GBK's findings back up what car dealers and other industry experts have been telling Business Insider for the last several months. A new wave of EV shoppers is hitting the market, and the industry appears to be unprepared to meet their needs. They're saying Toyota could win over a new wave of EV shoppers. They're saying this new wave of EV shoppers has a median budget of $50,000 for the next vehicle compared to an average budget of $59,000 for current EV owners. These shoppers also have different priorities than current EV owners for the next vehicles, putting more weight on environmental impact and savings. First of all, this whole environmental impact thing, I don't give a damn about the environment because I already know that all of that is temporary. When you look at geologic time, the entire Earth was on fire 3 billion years ago. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. If you go back 3 billion years, the entire planet was on fire. The whole thing. It was like lava. It cooled down very, very slowly. The whole planet was flooded. The whole planet went through ice ages, runaway ice ages. They had a period called Rodinia where the whole planet was ice. It's like I ain't worried about the environment. Everything you see out there, everything from the houses to the schools to the fire department to the police precincts to the mall, all that shit. Plate tectonics is gonna push all that shit right underground, and it's all gonna get melted. All of it. Everything. So you worried about plastic bags and you worried about plastic straws in the dolphin's nose and all that bullshit. Listen, all the dolphins are going to get pushed underground and melted by plate tectonics, okay? Everything's going. And that's assuming that the planet doesn't freeze over first, because eventually that's going to happen too. So I ain't worried about it. Like, I'll tell you like this, 3 billion years from now, you won't be able to find a trace of me, and you won't be able to find a trace of my cars, and you won't be able to find a trace of anything that I was doing on this planet at all. 3 billion years from now, you won't be able to find it. I promise you. So that said, I'm in it because I just wanted a new electric toy. That's all it was. I wanted a new shiny toy. And it turns out that my new shiny toy was a Cadillac Lyriq all-wheel drive Luxury 3. So it's very shiny, and it's a very fun toy. That's all it was. That's what I wanted. That's it. Let's see. These budget-minded shoppers are also more partial to legacy car brands, knocking Tesla down the rankings for consideration among this group. Now, you can read all of this yourself. It says companies can still charge a premium for green cars. GBK study found that EV considerers are willing to pay $7,650 more on average for an EV than a gas-powered car with standard features. As I've been saying, this whole thing that the news media made up, I really think that's partially because this is an election year. There's plenty of things that you can pull out to hurt Biden's administration and to hurt his reelection for president. Now, using EVs and EV adoption to attack him, yeah, I mean, you could do it. It's just that there's other ways to attack him. There's easier ways. But the bottom line is there is a demand. There's a demand for everything. The problem is the prices are so high. Financing just about anything now is going to cost you 7% at least. And that's a huge difference than the 3% that you'd be getting in 2020. That said, most people don't have the money to finance one of these damn things when you're talking about anything more than $50,000. Like $50,000 just like, 10 years ago, that was like the mark of a luxury car. If you paid like $50,000 for a car, yeah, that was a luxury car. Now, the super luxury car is like $100,000 and up because you got to have like a 6-figure salary. You pretty much have to be making damn near double 6 figures to afford one of those. You got to be making like $200,000. But bottom line is, yeah, there's a demand. But the problem is you're not giving us what we want. And I've said this before. Like, for instance, they have a stop sale on that Chevy EV. Well, what if people wanted the Chevy EV? How are you supposed to get it? And then they have more cars coming. Like they have a Equinox. Yeah, well, is there a stop sale on that? I haven't heard much about it. What about the Chevy Silverado EV? Haven't heard much about that. Then you've got Ford. They put out the Lightning. So right now there's only 3 trucks. There's only like 3 EV trucks on the road. It's the Cybertruck, the F-150 Lightning, and the Rivian. Well, where's the Chevy? Where's the Ram? Where's the Ram electric truck? Well, Dodge is taking their sweet time because I really think that they're having problems that they're not letting on about. And the Chevy Silverado, I'm guessing they have the same problem they have with the Chevy Blazer EV. I'm guessing. Because most of these cars are pretty much using the same exact parts. For the most part, they're using the same exact software as well. So I just like to shoot down those bullshit notice like the media has been going wild. Oh yeah, those EVs, nobody wants them. I was listening to Sean Hannity earlier on the radio. Oh yeah, well Biden pushing those EVs, nobody wants them, blah blah blah. I was like, yeah, they do. Tesla just had a record sales month. It's January, and EVs are selling. I don't know what you're talking about, but they're pushing the narrative, and I just don't buy it. Uh, what else? Tesla is planning a $25,000 EV. I don't know what it's going to look like. My guess is it's going to be a two door, and it may, I'm guessing. I don't. I honestly don't know. I've heard rumors it's going to look like the Cybertruck, which I hope they don't do. But I just don't know. Whatever they make though, if it's inexpensive and it's nice enough, it'll sell. But when it does, a lot of these people at these Tesla Cyber, what is it, those superchargers, y'all better be prepared for longer lines because I've been noticing these lines on these superchargers have been getting a lot longer. It used to be like I'd go to a supercharger and just be near it and I'd look and there's nobody there. Now I'm seeing everybody's there. So, they're going to flood the market with these electric vehicles. And eventually, the used ones are going to sell too. And you're going to be at these superchargers. There's going to be a lot of people sitting next to you. Porsche. Speaking of nobody wants EVs, Porsche has just basically started putting out the press drivable versions of the Macan EV. So they've got it so that you can actually drive the Porsche Macan EV. And as far as I can tell, it's probably just a redesigned Audi of some type, maybe a Q8 or something, because this is all Volkswagen. So I don't know, but I'll try to save judgment till I actually have a chance to drive it. Anything else? Yeah, this is an old story. Microsoft hitting $400. Then they did a comparison between the Tesla Model X and the BMW iX, which is the better buy. I would say the Tesla Model X is, and it's not because of the interior, the materials, and the luxury. The thing about it is Tesla's got those superchargers, and those superchargers just happen to be the best possible network you can be on for charging an electric car. I mean, if you're at home, that's one thing, but for the most part, people want to take road trips or people want to drive out of state. When you want to drive elsewhere and you don't have access to a charger, being able to use one of those superchargers is a matter of, being able to go where you're going or getting stranded. So I really believe that Tesla, this stock, I'm holding this stock. In fact, while it's down below $200, I probably might buy more. And I think maybe one of the last things I'm going to put up here is the Mercedes E-Class. The new Mercedes E-Class is absolutely gorgeous. They're saying it starts above $63,000. As soon as my local Mercedes gets one in, I'll definitely be there checking it out. I have no intentions of buying it, but then again, it might surprise me. Maybe I might. Who knows? It might surprise me. It might say, oh, wow, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Gotta have it. I don't think that's going to happen. But they're saying it's like going to start above $63,000, which is considerably higher. Because I remember the last E-Class, I think the last E-Class started around 55 or 57. I think it was 57, the very last refresh. And then I think before that it was 55. But as you go back in time, you go back to the pre-COVID era, you go back to the pre-markup era, you go back to the pre-market adjustments, So it looks great though. I gotta say, the car looks fantastic. When you have a car and you've got the the super screen, you got the hyper screen, you got like the full sweeping dash all the way from left to right. That's amazing. Like, it's just amazing that they can build stuff like that right now. And it doesn't cost a fortune, because really anything under, let's say, about $90,000, if you have a decent enough job, yeah, it's affordable. But the problem that hurts is the interest rates, because you got to pay these high interest rates. But when you're talking about $100,000 cars, that's a whole nother ball game. Once you pass that like 90,000 mark and you get to the 100,000s, it's not the same. You're paying luxury taxes, you're paying gas guzzler taxes, whatever it is. It's like you're in the stratosphere, especially with your insurance. They'll quote you $600, $700, $800 insurance a month on these cars. It's just ridiculous. So I think that was really all I needed to talk about. That's all I basically wanted to say. So I'm going to basically just end this video. So any questions, criticisms, and comments, you know what to do with those. You can, just put those into the segment down there in the URL section. Or then again, maybe I should just go after this last thing. These are 7 dividend monsters. They say Warren Buffett loves these 7 dividend monsters. So, really quickly, what are they? Bank of America, Chevron, Citigroup, the Coca-Cola Company, Diageo PLC. Okay. Hewlett Packard. It says Berkshire Hathaway reported a purchase of 121 million shares of the venerable tech giant, but he has been selling shares recently, which yield 3.79%. HP provides personal computing, blah, blah, blah. That's interesting. Kraft Heinz. And I think that's it. So basically, those are Warren Buffett's biggest dividend and share moves lately. I'm really interested that he's selling off HP shares. But the problem is HP has a lot of competition in the market. So, yeah, it's probably not as easy as I'd like to think it is. And then this alcohol company, producer of alcohol beverages, pays 2.84% dividend. DEO is their number, or their code. It says it offers scotch, whiskey, gin, vodka, rum, beer and spirits, Irish cream liquors, wine, raki, tequila, Canadian and American whiskey, Kachaka, and brandy, adult. Actually, I think that's a Kachasa. I think you're supposed to pronounce that C with an S. Whatever. And brandy, adult beverages and ready-to-drink beverages. So the company's premium brands are Johnny Walker, Smirnoff, Captain Morgan, Bailey's, Tanqueray, and Guinness. Its reserve brands include basically a lot of Johnny Walker and John Walker and Sons. So that's really interesting. I never really thought about investing into an alcohol company. That's really interesting right there. So yeah, that's basically the story. That's basically the stock market for this week, or in my site. So yeah, my thinking is, again, if you're setting up a new portfolio, the smartest thing you could do is focus on banks, gas companies, and oil companies. Tech may or may not be too expensive for you right now, because once again, my man-goat, Microsoft, Apple, NVIDIA, Google, oil stocks, Amazon, AMD, and Tesla. The man-goat index that I put together is probably too expensive for you at this point. So, there's other things you can go after that are cheaper. Banks and oil are much, much cheaper, much, much easier to get, and they all pay dividends. So from as soon as you start putting that money in there, you're putting yourself on schedule to get paid dividends when they pay dividends. So that really is a really good incentive to help build your portfolio up. It's going to take you a while. Because I didn't start overnight. It took me years. It took me since I was 18. It took me years, 20 years, 22 years. It took me a long time. So it's not overnight. I started with Scottrade. Scottrade got bought by TD Ameritrade, and then TD Ameritrade got bought by Charles Schwab. So now I'm with Charles Schwab, and all of my previous accounts have been sandwiched into, Charles Schwab. So yeah, this is not something that you can do immediately. So when you see me driving and skating on 22s with these Cadillacs, and you see me fly to Bali and Singapore and Bora Bora on business class, and I'm sipping champagne at 40,000 feet or whatever, I just got to reiterate: this is not easy. This is not something that you just do overnight. This is something that takes a long time. It takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of patience. But you can get there. You can get there too. You just got to be smart with your money. You got to have a good investment strategy.